This video is not intended for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and today we pull off the hat trick. I get to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome, everyone, and I'd like to welcome Captain Trek, Purple Valkyrie, and Positive Candor to this epic review of Star Trek Lower Decks. Thank you all so very much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'd like to give a big welcome out there to Happy Dinosaur 8000, Cred Sox 5, Crimson Mist, Katia Star, Thomas Potts, Colin P. Smith, Robert Pearson, Speaker for the Dead. How you doing, brother? I hear, Speaker, that you are driving through the Show Me State. Why don't you pop over and have a beer? Pixelate, hello, Pickles. How are you doing, brother? How is everybody out there doing? Eris of Chaos, the Battle Angel, has been in chat. Hello, Eris. Dave G. Sound, Bird of Prey 5, Kapla Bird, Mr. CCDB, and Derek McManus, Psycho Dwarf 9. Guys, ladies, thank you so very much for being here. Epic Beard, hello, Epic Beard. How are you doing, brother? The Epic Beard, you know what? Me and Epic Beard have something in common. Epic beards. Oh shit! So you know what? Out of what I watched today, this 25 minutes of shitdom that's probably going to be the funniest thing we talk about is beard sizes. Not Ryan Johnson. Hello. Yes, my opinion has already been stated, but people are disagreeing. People are disagreeing, and that's perfectly fine. Epic Cred Sox 5, was it crap? In my opinion, it was a giant dumpster fire of crap, but we're going to get to that. We are going to talk about that. And please, everyone, respect people's opinions. That is why we are here. That's why we're all here, because we each have our own opinions, and no one should be made to look like a dumbass or look stupid or look like an idiot because they have an opinion. That is the way they SJWs treat us. That is not how we treat each other. So I want to make that very clear before we get into this. Just because I think it's crap doesn't mean someone else is going to think it's crap. And we've got a wide variety of opinions on this panel right now and in our chat right now. So let's start out with just the opening, and I'll go around the panel ending with myself. Purple Valkyrie, what did you think about the way they opened this?
For me, the opening was probably the highlight of the show. I actually really liked the music that they used. It was very Star Trek. I will give them that. Again, we're going to be going back to comparisons with the animation style with Rick and Morty, and you won't be able to get away from that. But I think the opening credits were actually pretty good, so I will give them that.
Okay, Positive Candor. What'd you think?
probably the opposite. I thought the beginning was probably the worst part of the episode. Because Boimler says, "Worf, Worf, Worf," and then she hacks his leg with the bat lift, and then they scream. So I thought it was very stupid.
What about you, Captain Trek?
I like the music. I did. As far as anything else goes, no. This was not Star Trek. It was a pathetic attempt to wrap very lowbrow humor in a Star Trek uniform and call it Trek. Other than the music, there was nothing worth seeing, in my opinion.
Okay. I was surprised they went the TNG route with the uniforms. The style of the uniforms, I'm going to get into some style points here. I liked the look of the ship. I liked the effects at the beginning. I liked the music. Everything else was a dumpster fire in the beginning of this episode. The what is it? Mariner? Is that her name? Mariner?
Yes.
Mariner, to me, is a mix of Kelly from the Orville. The way she was, oh, I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to act all wacky and I'm going to do this and that. Very much Kelly from the Orville mixed with Burnham from STD. And they took Kelly and they took Burnham and they melded it. And to me, that falls throughout the whole episode. That is what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the little opening, except for the ship flying up to a board cube, shooting once, and then hauling ass away.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a Bird of Prey 5 move for there.
Now that's funny. Oh, shit. That's funny. This was like, why did you even put that together? That was like, and then the ship's flying away and it's got like an Eldritch manatee sucking off the warp core or sucking off the warp nacelle. I was just like, oh,
It reminded me of your Luke titty milk scene.
yeah. And she says that, guys, get this. She's drinking and she's talking about Romulan whiskey. She doesn't say ale. She says Romulan whiskey. And she said, I bet you thought it would be green as she's drinking off it. I'm like, green titty milk. There's your green, right in the first 2 minutes of the show, you've got a green titty milk reference. So I want to hit some really, really hardcore points. Art style. And we'll go back around again. Art style, Purple Valkyrie. Hit us with what you thought of the art style of the show.
Art style, I would say if I want to watch Rick and Morty, I will go watch Rick and Morty. Weirdly enough, the characters didn't fit in the environments that they were animated on. If you take the characters out and look at the environments, especially the outer space environments, I thought they looked pretty good. But then you've got the animation right in front of you and it's phonetic and it's all over the place. And the characters are talking a million miles a minute. And it's just incredibly distracting. And it's been done before and it's been done better, in my opinion.
Okay. Positive candor.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of that. Yeah, it's very fast paced, but this is catered towards, to me, the pre-teen, early teen crowd.
It has been specifically brought up that this is adult entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
They specifically say that in the explanation. Let's see if I can get it pulled up again. That this was aimed at, give me just a second. It's an American adult animated web series created for CBS All Access.
Well, yeah, maybe somebody who's 18, if you want to consider that. I guess most societies do an adult would probably still maybe like this, but yeah, to me, yeah, that's the wrong group to peg this to. And anybody older than 20 is probably going to hate the hell out of it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, Broken, they actually drop an F-bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the very end of it is when I noticed it when they were talking about the next episode, if I'm right.
Yeah. And they say bitch a couple times in the episode.
Yeah.
Captain Trek, it's all yours.
Honestly, the animation is it's okay. I mean, it's not great. It's honestly subpar in my opinion. I don't like the design of the ship. It just I don't know. There's really nothing more. I prefer the old 70s series because at least that was Star Trek, the old animated series. That was more Star Trek than this thing was.
Okay, and Bird of Prey 5 says the F-bomb is bleeped. I did not know that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they bleeped it. Yeah, it's at the very end of the episode.
They
yeah,
didn't
they
bleep
bleeped it, but
bitch.
it's still obviously it's still obvious what they said. Yeah.
Anything else, Cap, on the animation?
No.
Okay. This is my opinion, guys. Star Trek needs to be Star Trek. It doesn't need to be Rick and Morty. It doesn't need to be copying anything else. It doesn't need to be copying the Orville. The Orville was made specifically because CBS turned down Seth and said no. Obviously, never going to work. And it works. So Star Trek doesn't need to be copying other IPs. It's Star Trek. It doesn't need to be copying Firefly. It doesn't need to be copying Rick and Morty. It doesn't need to be copying anything. It just needs to be Star Trek. That's what people want is Star Trek. As far as the animation goes, I liked the ship. I liked the scenery. I thought that they did a good job movement-wise, but the animation style to me is too much like something else. Be yourself. You don't have to copy. You don't have to say, well, we're going to go with this style. I believe it was you, Purple Valkyrie, who said that many IGN and other news outlets are comparing this to Rick and Morty, saying, oh, they've done beautifully with the Rick and Morty style animation.
Yeah, pretty much every review I've come across hits that point. Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty. It's like, yeah, we get it. We know that he was involved in it, but still, is that the only talking point that you want for the show?
Yes, 24/7. If you want to talk shit about it in the chat, because people can talk good about this show, I'm not going to make anybody feel like shit because they like this show. You have a complete right to your opinion, guys. If you like it, I'm glad you like it. If you don't, I'm glad you don't, because I sure as shit don't. But you can talk shit about it. It's fine. We all agree that we like the music, though. The soundtrack for this.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought music-wise, the score was pretty good.
Positive candor.
Yeah, that and the special effects from the comm badge and everything else that they used was TNG-esque, no doubt.
I agree. I like the special effects. I just didn't like the people animation. Okay, so as far as the episode goes, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. obviously this is about younger officers, not so much the command staff. This is about the lower decks. They've talked about lower decks for years, ever since the episode we got with the young crew on TNG. To me, well, we'll go Purple Valkyrie. What did you think of the story concept in this of these characters?
Story-wise, I like the idea of focusing on, the lower decks characters, taking the spotlight away from the main command crew. I think that's a good idea. And like you say, it was done in TNG. It certainly wasn't a comedy, that episode. But yeah, as a concept, I think it was a good idea. The characters and that they used were just so irritating. I just couldn't get past, and I don't think I'm going to enjoy watching them. I haven't found anything that endears them to me, at least not from this first episode.
Okay, positive candor.
Yeah, I like that they focus on the lower decks crew instead of the command crew. That's a great concept and everything. So that to me was the best aspect of this show. But then when the main command crew is featured, then it kind of, to me, that's almost the worst part of this show, in a way, the command crew. Especially, I guess, the captain and her admiral husband, basically.
And real quick, before we move on to Captain Trek, 24/7 Fusion says, how do you like that Jerry O'Connell from Sliders is one of the voice actors of the Strash Sheep? I didn't even know it was Jerry O'Connell until after the show. After the show, when I started looking at the actors, I was like, holy shit, Jerry O'Connell's in this. And he plays the first officer, and he's a fucking moron, in my opinion. So, yeah. Captain Trek, go ahead.
Okay. I initially liked the concept of lower decks because it was something I went into in Next Generation. However, these are Starfleet Academy graduates. They are officers. These are not cadets. They're not on a cadet cruise. These are officers. They should be behaving like Starfleet officers. You don't go around drunk on duty. You don't go around swinging a bat'leth around in the middle of the hall. This was just completely pathetically stupid. And the command crew, besides the captain, they're idiots. That first officer, it's like, who cares? It really was insulting.
He does a little point in the chest bump to that other guy, like, yeah.
I mean, if this had been an Orville series, an Orville animated series, I honestly think I could give this a 5. I honestly do. Because that's not meant to be Trek. Trek has an audience that is, and a universe that's already been established. What's being done now is saying, fuck you to every past fan who ever loved Star Trek. We don't want you. We don't need you. We don't like you. We don't respect you. And we don't want you to watch.
Damn, and they definitely don't want you to watch the Orville. I'm going to read this out for you guys. I'm going to share my screen real quick because I wanted to read this out, and this will be, give me just a second because I've actually got to get back to it and find it. So just 1 second here. Where is it? There we go. Okay, so if you guys can see that, I'm going to focus on this comment and one more. If nothing else, though, Star Trek Lower Decks, by staking its claim as the officially licensed Star Trek comedy series, will throw the Orville with its untenable mix of glib goofs and modern drama into a profound existential crisis. What they're saying here is that by Star Trek making a comedy series, it makes the Orville completely irrelevant, and you should just forget about the Orville and focus on Lower Decks. I completely disagree with that. They are trying very hard to break into some comedy here and figure, oh, well, if we market it as a cartoon for adults, obviously kids are going to watch it anyway because it's a cartoon and it's like Rick and Morty. So everyone's going to watch it. Multiple times in that article, they talk about how Star Trek should do a reality series, Star Trek Roland's Drag Race, Star Trek The Real Housewives of City Alpha 5, and inevitably, as if ordained by the prophets, Star Trek Keeping Up with the Kardashians. This is from NPR's Glenn Weldon on August 6th, today, 5 a.m. Obviously, after he watched this giant pile of Dren. Oh, I'm still in Farscape mode. I'm still in Farscape mode from this morning. I agree with Captain Trek. This is not Star Trek. This is disrespectful to Star Trek, and they make a very, very pointed stab at that at the very end of this by bringing up Spock, Sulu, Deanna, and other characters like, hey, we know our Trek. So,
don't forget about the Genesis device, because
yeah,
that's going to be declassified by then.
Yeah,
sure.
it's declassified. You know, everybody knows about the Genesis device. Even this ensign that has been busted down multiple times. We're going to get into that, guys. Characters. So, characters on this show. Purple, lead the way. Characters on the show.
Characters on this show, I mean caricatures. I hate them. I'm sorry. All of them. The only one that was slightly endearing was the Orion girl, but only because she had like 15 seconds on screen, and we didn't really get any of her personality. I hated Mariana, is it?
Marina.
Whatever. She's so irritating, I didn't even bother to learn her name. And the other guy who's just played as comic relief, you know, he's the incompetent guy, he gets everything wrong, he's nerdy, he's played for laughs, and he's supposed to be your main character. So yes.
Positive key. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was going to say, yeah, even as you said, the command crew, because there's no real personality there, even the captain, who we're supposed to be rooting for. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Thank you. Who are we supposed to be rooting for? Positive candor. Go ahead.
Yeah, Boimler was the main guy character. And this, to me, I like his characters so far. I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. I guess I like him the best in a way, except when stupid stuff happens to him. But I like the scene when he goes on the bridge and he's real nervous and stuff like that. And he's, doesn't hear the second officer saying, "Hey, why you?"
It was the first officer. It was Jerry O'Connell's character, the one who got bit by them. We'll get into that later. But yeah, it was the first officer. That is the first officer, Jerry O'Connell's character. I don't even know his name yet.
I think it's Ransom or something like that.
Yeah, Ransom.
But So yeah, his character Boimler, I'm okay with, I guess, so far. Yeah, Mariner, yeah, did not like her. Who's the main lady that basically has been busted a zillion times or so. Um, to me, she reminds me kind of Tom Paris, how he got busted on Voyager. So to me, that means it's probably going to be a running gig how she gains rank and then loses it, gains rank and loses it. More than likely, if I had to guess. Um, and then Rutherford is basically the nerd engineer
Yep.
who's part cyborg and who can, I guess, based on Mariner, tweak his cyborg implants for comedic effect, I guess, in a way. So he has, a date with the Trill chick, and they get along while in the midst of the battle and doing their best to stay away from the zombies and stuff like that. But then once he starts talking about diagnostics and whatever, and of course she says, "Well, the heck with that. You're not even paying attention to me," kind of deal, and dumps. To me, I get the feeling that that he got dumped by her, obviously.
Yep.
And then the female Orion, who's the medical one. That probably developed her the least in a way. They basically showed her around the ship at the beginning, and then she's pumping the guy's heart, and that kind of a thing. But yeah, so far they really didn't get too much into her character, so don't really know how to rate her yet, basically. But yeah, so far I guess out of the four, my favorite is Boimler.
Okay. Captain Trek.
I don't like any of them, quite honestly. And I want to go back to something that that Mr. CCDV said about it being a parody. Here's the problem: it isn't supposed to be a parody. This is supposed to be an animated series. Yes, it is not supposed to be a parody of Star Trek. Then I also wanted to address what Colin P. Smith said. Do I think there would be a problem? Do I think there would be less problem if it didn't have the Trek label on it? Yes. I think Trek is the whole reason, and I'll be honest, I would rate this show probably a 4 or 5 if it weren't Trek, if it didn't have the Trek name on it. I don't care for the comedy. It's too lowbrow, too trashy for my taste. But it's not the worst. With the Trek name on it, no. Mm-mm.
What did you think about the characters? Any? I know you said you didn't like any of them, but any specific one? Which one did you like the least? Which one did you hate the most? Like the least?
Oh, the captain's daughter.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't like her either.
Shoot her at an airlock.
Okay, here's my thing, guys. Someone said earlier, son of Mikey Spock, Mariner, son of Mikey Spock. Someone said, no, I like this because not one mention of Burnham. Let me tell you something, guys. Mariner is a light, giddy version of Berman. There is a scene in this episode where she specifically says, I have been to more worlds than everybody. I have met more alien races than anybody. I have experienced more first contacts than anybody. I am right. I am never wrong. I am right. That is Burnham, ladies and gentlemen. That is the heart of Burnham. I know everything. You know nothing. Shut your mouth and listen to me. And that is exactly what she told Boimler on the planet when they were on the planet. I know everything. You know nothing. Shut the hell up and listen to me. And that's when I said, okay, I see where you are going here. This is supposed to be the fun, giddy Kelly version of Burnham. They have taken Kelly from the Orville and tried to mix her with Michael Burnham.
Mm-hmm.
The attitude is there. The I can do whatever I want and not get kicked out of Starfleet is there. I have been busted down multiple times. This is supposed to be her last hoorah, ladies and gentlemen. Yet she is on a ship with her mother. Her mother is the captain of the starship. And that is supposed to be the big reveal at the end. There is a scene that Positive Candor talked about where Boimler has to go on the bridge and he's nervous. And yes, you would be nervous. He is nervous. And the first officer says something to him and he just drowns it out. I can totally see that happening in real life too. So I'll give it a point for not originality, but authenticity. I will give it a point for that authenticity when he's on the bridge. But when he goes into that captain's room and she says, I want you to spy on Mariner. I knew right then that's her daughter. Captains don't do that. Captains don't, I want you to do this and I want you to do that and basically spy on my daughter. I knew then. There was no surprise at the end of this show when the captain is talking to her admiral husband and he's like, oh, gotta go. And, oh, you're breaking up. No, funny. Oh, he's doing the old breaking up thing. And he's getting, I can't hear you anymore. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And she says, it's your daughter too. I knew already. There was no surprise there for me. There was no great reveal. Sorry, you screwed that up. I liked... And as Purple Valkyrie said, I did like the Orion girl. She seemed sweet and down to earth, but you get all of 15 seconds with her. You don't really get to spend a lot of time with her. She's the newbie on the ship. And as far as characters go, I didn't like Boimler. I didn't like Mariner. The Bajoran tactical officer was interesting to me. But you get all of 5 seconds. Oh, look, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger looking tactical officer, and he's a Bajoran. Thank you, finally, for making a tough as nails, kick ass. But again, you get almost nothing with him. The most exciting thing you get with him is him busting down the door, killing zombies with Boimler held over his shoulder, carrying him like a sack of potatoes. I want more, but you're not going to get more because it's going to focus on the kids in this. Let's talk about zombies in Star Trek, because there have been zombies in Star Trek before. So, Purple, what did you think about the zombie story arc of the first officer's down on the planet? He gets bitten by a bug and then beamed up.
Mm-hmm.
The transporter is supposed to take care of that, but we'll just not focus on that until we go all the way around. The transporter was not supposed to take. The transporter was supposed to take care of that. Transporter removes any infection, biological agent, illness, all that from anyone using the transporter. But somehow it messed up, and they never ever mentioned that. So we just we'll act like they're dumbasses and they don't know what's the transporter is supposed to do. What did you think about the zombie arc?
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a bit about the transporter and the fact that he beat because he was bit, he should have gone straight to medical, not to the bridge. But we'll skip over that one as well. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, it's an original idea. Zombies haven't been done." It has. It was done on Enterprise, if I remember correctly.
Yep, Vulcans.
Yep.
Vulcan zombies.
Yeah, Vulcan zombies. I don't know. I think it was done for shock value more than anything else, and because zombies is something that people can kind of latch onto immediately. But I don't think it was done particularly well. I didn't like that they were puking whatever that was all over each other. You know,
Black tar.
black tar everywhere. I thought, and even though it's a cartoon, I thought it was too visceral. And the spread of the virus isn't really kind of touched upon. It's like, is it spread by them biting each other, or is it spread by them puking on each other? Because 1 minute one person's got it, and the next the whole ship has it, and it starts in the bar and then just spreads throughout the entire ship.
And they mention that, don't they? They actually mention that there's a guy that says, this happened all over the ship when it just happened a second ago in the bar.
In the bar, yeah. Yeah, with just the first officer having been infected, yeah.
And any of y'all can answer this question. Has Star Trek ever had a bar? They've had a 10-forward lounge. They never called it a bar. It was the lounge. They had Quark's bar, but that's on a Cardassian station, not on a Federation starship. Have you ever in the history of Star Trek heard of them having a bar on the ship?
No.
No.
And they did specifically say bar several times.
And we all know what has a bar. The Orville has a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Positive candor. Zombie apocalypse on a starship.
Well, to me, it's the lowest plot in the whole episode. They kind of skim over it. It's for basically, I guess, comedic effect only. So they just, pretty much introduce it by, the mosquito biting him, and then he bites somebody and turns that guy into a zombie, and then the next person, so on and so forth. They don't really focus on it. Obviously they show, most of the crew turning into zombies, and then once Boimler comes back covered in the goo, then that's the wow, what do you know? It's the cure to the zombies, so that's convenient. But yeah, to me, it's just a means to an end, pretty much. That's about it.
Captain Trek.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely was done for comedic value. I just didn't find it funny. The problem was, it's like, how is it transmitted again? You bite somebody and then
they never explain that.
Yeah,
they never explain that because multiple people got spit on by that black goo and they didn't turn into zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And obviously the captain was, but I didn't see her getting bitten or didn't show any bite marks.
No, they didn't. And Colin P. Smith comes up with a really good point. To be fair, I would say that although 10 Ford was a lounge, a bar was at least implied within that. I completely agree with that, but they never called it a bar. The only thing they ever called a bar was Quark's. Everything else was a lounge or a mess or a mess hall. I think they had a mess hall on the Defiant. At least I think they called it the mess hall on the Defiant. Mm-hmm. They never call anything a bar besides Quark's, and that's because it's on a Cardassian station.
The only other time in Trek I can think of if they called a place a bar was on K7.
Yeah, K7.
And that was Trouble with Tribbles. That's the only other time in Star Trek I can think of any place being called a bar.
On a Federation, and I'm talking about Federation here.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm talking about is Federation. We can throw Quarks in there but it was still a Bajoran station.
Mm-hmm. And a private business. Yeah.
Okay, here's my deal on the zombies. A lot of people have spoken up about how original this is. You've never had zombies in Star Trek. You did have zombies in Star Trek in the episode, I believe it was season 3 of Enterprise, or was it season 2 or season 3? I'm pretty sure it was season 3 when they had the Xindi incident where they found the Vulcan science ship in the they call it the Expanse. It was the Expanse, and they had a rage virus. Basically, it overrode their minds and put them into a rage. It burned them out to where they were no longer logical. They no longer had conscious thought. They were running on instinct, on Vulcan instinct. So you've got these ragey Vulcans that are going nuts. They call this multiple times a rage virus. Then it's the exact same thing they did on Enterprise. So, except it wasn't this time. It wasn't with Vulcans. It was with everyone on the. It was with everyone on the ship. So to take that and say, well, it was original. They've never done zombies. No, they haven't. They have done zombies before. But yeah, define what you mean by zombies. That's why they called it a rage virus. It's not something that's original. I believe I even called it the Warping Dead, because I immediately was like, oh, dude, no, not the zombie thing. Zombies have been so done over and over again. But this is what's going on the ship, what's going on the planet. And if that's the way they want to go, that's the way they can go. But again, I feel like they are just pulling from other IPs. This is not Star Trek. The Vulcan thing happened because they were in the Expanse. Is it possible that this could happen on a starship? Of course it's possible. Is the transporter supposed to take care of that? Yes, and this is what I want to focus on now that we've talked about the zombies. Time and time and time again, we've been told the transporter filters out contaminants. And if it didn't, that's fine. But they never once mention, why didn't the transporter deal with this? Why didn't the transporter see that he was infected by something and remove it from his body, like it's done on countless occasions? Because in the TNG episodes and in other episodes of Star Trek, when that is supposed to happen and it doesn't, they always mention it. So to me, it was we don't even know that the transporters can do that. We don't know our Star Trek well enough to know that we should have said, why didn't the transporter get this out? Because that's all they had to do. It takes 10 seconds to say that. I don't know. Okay, done. It's over. You don't know why. You don't know why. You don't know why I didn't do it, but at least it's been brought up. They don't even acknowledge the fact that the transporter should have eliminated this. Which to me is just, it's either laziness or they don't know. They were either lazy and so wrapped up in what they were doing that they didn't feel the need to point this out, or they just didn't know that the transporter is supposed to filter out anything when you're being beamed up. So,
now I will say, and I hate defending this because there were other episodes in Star Trek where the transporter is supposed to filter out something and didn't. Voyager's one that comes to mind. Macrovirus.
Yep. Macrovirus.
And it's like they took some of the worst of Trek and said, oh, hey, here's something else. Throw this in. But yeah, the transporters are supposed to filter this out. No. You can forget it.
Mm-hmm. Like you say, they could have easily have just thrown that in, because they had time to throw in a joke about security doors not working to protocol, and it ruined his face. But they didn't have time to just have a throwaway line about the virus not being picked up. So yeah. I think, like you say, they don't know Trek.
Well, they even brought that up at the end, Purple. They said the cyborg was talking about his date and how he didn't think he was going to see her again because he brought up the whole security door thing and why is it running a diagnostic? And oh, that was so interesting. Why not just throw the transporter? Why didn't the transporter do this? Why did it's supposed to filter out all contaminants? And he could have gone off on that little problem, and she could have been like, and walked away, and that could have been that entire thing.
Mhm.
So you could have just taken the security doors out and replaced it with that, and it would have worked. At least they would have mentioned it.
Yeah, it would have made one of the lower decks more competent than the command crew because he picked it up, and it would have, answered the question why was the virus allowed onto the ship?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Positive candor.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't bother me that they didn't mention it, really.
Okay.
It could have been that it didn't detect it yet because he had just gotten bit right before he got beamed up, and so maybe it hadn't turned into a virus yet.
It's true. That is true. But I still would think that they would mention it later.
Right.
Even if it slipped past, because it's happened before. It has. When Riker got bit by that plant at the end of season 2, was it? That they ended on that weird ass episode with Riker getting bitten by the plant, the macrovirus in Voyager. There's been multiple occasions where something has slipped past the transporter. My feeling on it, though, was why didn't they at least mention and bring that up? Why didn't the transporter catch it? If this was a virus and it was brought on board from the planet, why didn't the transporter catch it? I don't know.
Well, at least with the one with Riker, they did an emergency transport. They knew something was wrong. They let it through the filters anyhow. So they already had a write-up for that one. But that was an exception.
And of course, in Voyager, you're in the Delta Quadrant. You know what the hell you're coming up against, and the computer might not know. Oh, they're perfectly fine, and it just doesn't see it. And then, yes, positive candor. That could have been the exact same thing. I'm not saying the transporter should have caught it and stopped it. I'm saying that I didn't like the fact no one brought that up, like they didn't even know the transporter was supposed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care that they didn't mention it.
Okay. Do you have something more positive?
I mean, to me, they only had, even though it's 24 minutes, I think they only spent maybe, because like at least 2 minutes are credits. So to me, this is only a 20 to 22 minute episode.
Yep.
So you only have a set amount of time. And yeah, if they skip something, then I'm not going to kill them for skipping it because they only have a set amount of time to tell a story anyway.
Okay. Final thoughts, guys. Purple Valkyrie.
I'm glad I watched it. And apparently there are 10 episodes, but only 4 have been announced so far. But I don't know who this show is aimed at. I think you said at the beginning it's clearly not aimed at lifelong Star Trek fans. But again, is it aimed at the people who love Discovery and who love Picard, or is it aimed at a whole new group of fans that they're trying to attract? Because it's clearly not aimed at kids, because there's swearing, there's nudity. There's actually a lot more nudity in it than I thought was going to be.
See at least a dozen asses in this episode.
Oh, guys. Just saying.
I find that rather sexist because it was only guys that they were showing naked.
It was.
Were some really built chicks.
I'll continue to watch it to see if it does kind of pick up, but so far the characters, I haven't found them endearing. It's just too quick. It's too constant, and I know it's only 24 minutes long, but there's just too much being thrown at you, especially for the pilot episode.
Final rating?
Out of 10,
Out of 10.
I would give it a 2. I did like the music, and I thought some of the scenes, especially the scene in space where they're, walking across the hull of the ship, was quite good. And I thought some of the scenes on the planets, these environments, were pretty good.
All right, positive candor.
I mean, despite its problems and stuff, I guess didn't hate it as much as other people hated it. I would rate it right now 6 out of 10. It's, to me, better than average. Obviously, it's not the greatest thing, but it's not the worst thing either. They resolved the story super fast and pretty conveniently and stuff like that. But yeah, you only have a certain amount of time to show their story. But I did like that it focused on the lower decks and it showed everything basically from their viewpoint for the most part in this. I really like that aspect to this more than anything, is that it showed everything from their viewpoint, especially when they're outside the two, Rutherford and the trail that he's dating are outside of the ship and then leap off of it and then attach again miraculously somewhere else. I mean, you got to forgive, I guess, some points of it that don't make sense like that. So it takes a lot of license of certain stuff like that. But yeah, so far I'm okay with it for now, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Okay, Captain Trek.
Okay. Initially, I would have given this a 1 out of 10. Really, after considering, I'll go 2 out of 10. I will. I'll concede the animation is okay. The only thing I really initially liked about it was the music. So yeah, 2 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Colin P. Smith says, how long would the episode? About 20 minutes. If you add in the intro and the credits, you're probably looking at a 20-minute show. And they're supposed to make 10 episodes. I was under the impression they were only going to do 4. They're supposed to make 10. They have not announced anything, though, after the first 4, and they have not announced what the next 3 episodes are going to be. You've got a title, and that's it. So, Eastland Burkholder says, forgettable TV. I've heard it called, but why watch forgettable TV? Do we need Hypno Frog as in Futurama? Here is my take on this, ladies and gentlemen. When I watched this the first time, because I watched this episode 3 times, and I'll watch the next episode 3 times, because I'm going to be fair. I'm going to do it the exact same way each time. Why even bother? Yeah, Kathia. Why even bother? 20 minutes. This review is going to be more than twice as long as the episode, probably 3 times as long as the actual episode. My initial view on this was to give it a 2. And after we watched the episode together, I was going to give it a 3. I'm actually going to give this a 3.5, and I will explain why. It gets a little bit bonus. I like the music. I like the special effects. I did not think any of it was funny at all. I do not like the art animation style of the characters. The special effects, though, and the stuff of the ship, I really like. The fact that they are giving you... It does not feel like TNG, but there are aspects of TNG. The uniforms, they don't even say what timeline they're in yet, what time frame they're in. This could be TNG. This could be after the Dominion War. You don't know, though. You have no idea. It looks a little like TNG. but it doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel like TNG. The reason why it gets a 0.5 more than I was going to give it is because of the Bajoran tactical officer. Sitting here doing this review, I realized, holy shit, he had the earring in, and he's huge. He's a big, burly, massive, I'm going to kick a fucking door down and mop up zombies and carry this kid like he's a sack of potatoes to the medical bay to get him to medical so the doctor can cure us all of this zombie disease. I think IGN gave it an 8 out of 10. Dave G Sound. I like the Bajorans. I've always liked the Bajorans. The Bajoran freedom fighters. People are like, oh, I hated the Bajorans. They were errorists. No. They were fighting against the Cardassians. They were tough as nails. These were people that were artists. They were songwriters. They lived on their planet in luxury and then got taken over and they became badasses. I like that. Instead of singing, dancing, drawing, painting, coming up with whatever, and lounging around, they turned their entire civilization around and became warriors. That even the Klingons were like, don't back Bajorans into a corner. It's not a good idea. Even the Klingons had respect for the Bajorans. It's better than Thundercats Roar. I almost think it is the Star Trek version of Thundercats Roar. That's my opinion. But the special effects is better. I don't like the way they did the people, the way they drew the people. So I gave it a 3.5. If you want to watch the next episode of this with us and come up on the panel, I know there's some people out there, Mr. CCDB, Bird, if you want to come on here, you're more than welcome. If you're still in the chat, brother, and you're still watching, listening, I would love to have you on here for the next one. I would love to have Purple Lady back, or Purple Valkyrie back, and Positive Candor and Captain Trek. If you both would like to come back, I would love to have all three of y'all back on this panel.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. And Mr. CCDB says, what do the Cardassians have to... That was something NPR said, that they can't wait for the new Star Trek reality series, Keeping Up with the Cardassians. And how this is all one big joke and how it's going to destroy the Orville and how the Orville really doesn't have a leg to stand on anymore. A lot of the reviews I have read today, and Kathia Starr pointed this out earlier, linked this with it's a silent war against the Orville.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it. The Orville did it first, and the Orville did it better as far as bringing the comedy aspect to a Star Trek-like show. In my opinion, the Orville is leading the way now. Star Trek is copying people. They're copying other IPs. They're copying other ideas. They're trying to be like something else instead of it being itself. Star Trek, CBS, you do not have to be Rick and Morty. You do not have to be the Orville. The Orville isn't kicking your ass because it's comedy. It's kicking your ass because it's more Star Trek than Star Trek. It's kicking your ass because it knows Star Trek better than you do. All you have to be Star Trek is Star Trek, and people will show up. You don't have to be Firefly. You don't have to be Rick and Morty. You don't have to be The Walking Dead. You don't have to be any of these other things that you think you need to be. All you have to be is Star Trek. If you build it, they will come.
You know, I'd like to add one thing, if I may.
Yeah.
That's the thing that really first generation and second generation Trek have in common. They were influenced by other things that were on. Other entertainment, other venues, other everything. But they weren't trying to copy or mimic it. Third generation Trek overall has gone from trying to set new trends to copying old ones. We're not going to use original ideas, put things from other IPs in our thing. We're going to just yank it, steal it, and try to put it together like throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. Any final thoughts from the panel?
I'd be curious to see where they go from this. I mean, as an opening episode, I don't think it was particularly strong. But the next episode, they might blow us out of the water. I doubt it, but I'll definitely watch and review it. I just keep going back to who was this aimed at? Who were they trying to attract? What audience? Because as you say, it's not for kids. Although there is the Nickelodeon Star Trek kids show coming as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Then as Captain Trek said, they're just borrowing bits, and they're borrowing bits of Star Trek that's gone in the past, and just kind of throwing it out there and hoping it sticks.
Positive Candor. You got any closing thoughts?
No, I watch each episode and give my viewpoint on each one as it comes along, whether it's good or crap or whatever. Basically,
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for that, brother. Thank you for being here. I know it can't be easy when you were on here for a little bit with us before we went on, and you got to hear our opinion. And Positive Candor has a more than positive view than we do. And when you are around people that don't like something, to go to speak your mind and say, no, I think it was a 6. I don't think it was a giant dumpster fire. It takes class and it takes courage.
Mm-hmm.
We do not in any way, shape, or form denounce your view on it. We agree to disagree, and that's what I love about this community, and that's what I love about this panel already, is that we can have an intelligent discussion without yelling at each other that we're wrong, or you're wrong, or I'm wrong, or Cap's wrong, or anybody's wrong. This is just how we see it, folks. It's how we see it, and we are giving you our honest opinion. So if you watch this later, I'm going to send out some feelers. If anybody would like to come up on the show, I would like at least 2 more people next week that have seen the next episode at least a couple of times, and we'll do this around the same time on Tuesday. We may change the time because I know Positive Candor is going to have a time change for him coming soon with work, so we will see what we can do, and we'll do 3 shows on Thursday until they either pull this or we get more. So thank you, everybody.
Now, before you go, are you going to do season 3 of Discovery or no?
No.
Are you going to review that?
No.
Okay.
I will listen, and I will.
Glutton for punishment.
Here's the deal with Discovery. I tried, guys. I tried 3 times to watch Discovery, and I get to the Spore Drive, and I'm like, no. No, I just can't watch it. I tried to watch it. It was very difficult watching Picard. So I can't push myself to do Discovery. So it was very, very difficult watching Picard. And I know some people like Picard. I did not. I absolutely hated it. I liked this more than I liked Picard.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give it that.
Yes, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, Eastland Bird Coder, the season 3 of Discovery, starts immediately after this October 15th. I don't care about,
I actually like Picard more than this.
Wow, really?
Yeah, really.
Nice. Louise Sparrow. I watched all of Discovery, and I'll watch the next season. I can't make myself watch Picard. It's painful.
The one thing I'd say about Picard and the difference between Lower Decks is Lower Decks isn't mean-spirited. Picard felt like a slap in the face to fans. This just feels a little bit dumb. That's all.
Yep. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We will be back later tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for 7 Kinds of Mischief. Until then, everyone have a great day. Thank you again to the panel. And we will catch you guys on a week from now, a week from today, for the next episode of Lower Decks.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.